Welcome to Varsity State Tournament Edition, Class B Boys, brought to you by United Supermarkets. I'm Ryan Aber, joined by Scott Wright. Scott, there's a sort of a role reversal here. We have Red Oak coming in as the underdog. They play Timberlake in the first round. Timberlake, a team that's making their first appearance at the state tournament as Timberlake.
Yeah, that's right. As Nash High School, they made it back in 1947, but their first appearance as Timberlake, and it's really a rough draw with Red Oak being the defending champs. Now they're not as talented as they were last year with Lane Adams and some of those other guys that they had, but Red Oak is a really good ball club. You have to hope for Timberlake's sake that they can kind of get past the nervousness, the excitement of the first state tournament appearance, and go out and play basketball the way they have been the last few weeks. But Red Oak is definitely going to be around at come Saturday, I think, as a contender maybe to knock off Roth, who's probably the favorite at this point.
And Red Oak had an extremely tough area draw with Roth, but you think they have the ability to bounce back and at least make it to Saturday?
I do. This is a team that they have a couple of starters who were involved last year, starting as well, and some guys who came off the bench. Even though that team did have 6 seniors last season, they've got a lot of experience. And they know what it takes to win. They're here in baseball too, just like Roth is, and so they're used to being in this situation. They're used to competing for state titles, and so I think that's going to help keep them around.
And you look at the other side of a bracket, the Indiahoma, a team that really struggled last year. I believe only 5 wins, coming into this tournament as one of the 4 area winners.
Yeah, they were a team that really didn't even show up in the rankings all that regularly until late in the season. They peaked at 18 in the top 20. Mike Brown, first-year coach there, has really turned around the mental aspect of this team. They're a lot more confident than they were a year ago in his first year. And essentially the same players who only won 5 games last year, and they're 20-5 right now coming into the state tournament. So a very different team, and it could be someone interesting to watch this week.
And let's move on to the favorites. Roth in Class A, we talk about Garber being the favorites. They won a football state title. In Class B, we talk about Roth. They're coming off a baseball state championship. What is it about that program that makes them so dominant this year?
You look at this basketball team, and they've got a lot of senior talent, a lot of guys who, if they were the only guy on the team, could be the guy averaging 15 to 18 points a game. They've got the best starting 5, I think, easily in Class B right now coming in. They have everybody back from last year, and they had a move-in who actually took one of the starting spots. So they've got a guy who started on their state tournament team a year ago who's coming off the bench now. So this is just a team with a lot of depth. Dylan Limley and Dane Parker. Parker on the outside. Limley is a 6'6" forward who is not your typical Class B big man. At 6'6", he can get out on the perimeter. A decent jump shot, but he's at his best when he's driving. He was really impressive at the Tournament of Champions in December, even though they didn't come away with any victories up there. A really impressive big guy that would cause some matchup problems for a lot of teams.
And that seems to be the case in Class B the last few years. Last year, Red Oak had Stuart Sullivan. A couple years ago, Stringtown ran out a couple big guys who could play outside. So it seems like those Class B teams have those kind of players that can step out.
Yeah, and that's really important because it's such a tough guy to defend for a lot of these teams because not everybody has a big guy that can get out on the perimeter and drive and defend somebody who can drive to the bucket really hard like Dylan Limley can. I think that you moved him up classes to 5A, 6A. He's a guy that would be contributing at that level and probably starting for most teams. So a really talented player.
So is Roth the team on Saturday that's hoisting the gold ball?
I really think so. They've been the early favorite from the beginning of the season. The only losses they've had were to Garber twice, Pawnee, who had been number 1 in 2A pretty much all season, and then a 5A team at the Tournament of Champions. So it's not like they've struggled to lose 4 games. It's been some pretty tough losses. I think they're the team to beat.
Well, Scott, thanks for joining us, and thank you. And check us out every day this week at newsok.com/varsity for the best high school coverage anywhere. Brought to you by United Supermarkets.